Stick right here.
What you doing?
You got one. You doing all right?
I knew when you didn't call me back yesterday, something was wrong.
Did you call me?
Yeah, I called you.
I was at a polygraph yesterday afternoon. Was it in the morning or afternoon?
No, I talked to you when I saw you in the stairwell the other day. I was busy, and I didn't want to seem like a dick, man, when I walked by you. But because you were like, "What's up, man?" I was like, "Yeah," and you're like, "I ain't seen you in a while, man." And I kept going, and I was like, "Man, that's kind of dickish."
Dude, I know you're 100 miles an hour. I know you're 100 miles an hour.
I just didn't have a chance to talk to you, so I figured I'd check in.
No.
I saw you the other morning at the run.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw you down there, but I was across the street, man, and I had my 3 kids. We were trying to get to the finish line with Amy, and
Yeah.
you were walking out.
Dude, I had the twins,
Yeah.
I had the redhead, and then I had
You had
one of
a
their
lot of
cousins.
Yeah, you had a lot of people with you.
And I didn't even see you there. Where were you?
Right across the street.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like, we were within probably 15 feet of each other, but
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been, I mean, no offense, dude, it would have been more of a hassle to stop you because you and I both would have stopped and just said, at least said, hey, shook hands or something. And I'm like, dude, it's not even worth it right here in the traffic jam with all the people that were down there.
No, I had a test yesterday about a lady that was it's like a caretaker doing this. This is so sad. It's this vulnerable adult, and I don't know what kind of condition she's got, but she has to wear a helmet all the time. To where like they'll sit her down at a table,
Like with
feed
a
her,
face mask and
like with a
everything.
face mask and everything. And if they take the helmet off, sometimes she'll go into a seizure and she'll just bam right on the, and she'll break her nose. She's had her nose broken like 6 or 7 times, and she'll just sit there and start laughing, and bleeding all over the place. But anyway, this
Like she can't feel
caretaker,
pain or something.
yeah, it's like she can't feel pain. But this caretaker took a heater, a space heater, stuck it on her arm, and she had these grid marks all over the place. So that's what I was dealing with yesterday afternoon. I didn't even realize you called. I
I
apologize.
heard that must have been the worst one somebody's ever failed, surely.
She failed it. Like she didn't just. She failed it so bad.
Horrible, huh?
Yeah, you know.
The textbook.
She failed it so bad that I couldn't
Was it
test
like
short.
a -11?
Yeah. All she needed was a -4, and like there
So
was
she
no
couldn't
reason.
have passed the whole thing, the rest of it,
Yeah.
and she would have still failed, so there wasn't any point.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, you hate when shit like that. That's the kind of stuff you hate. All
She looked like fairly young. Black girl? How old is she?
She was 27ish, 28, and then the victim's 25. But you look at her and you think she's a teenager because she doesn't get up, she can't walk around, so she's real skinny. I mean, it's just.
But those marks were just, I mean, it was perfect, just burn pattern
Yeah.
on her arms. Both arms.
And she wouldn't give it up yesterday. She would not give it up.
I'm not going to give this up. I don't know whatever this is, but I ain't going to give it up either. I'm just telling you that time. I'm not giving it up.
Because we're going to move downstairs to the pub. No, I'm just messing.
That's fine. That's on the box, bitch. I ain't done.
Let me get some coffee and we'll tell you what this complaint's about. This is relatively new to us.
This is probably relatively new to me now.
Crap, did you drink the rest of the coffee?
Mm-hmm. Well, I gave Lieutenant the majority of the end of it. I couldn't
Okay.
fit it all in his cup.
Well, then that's okay.
You got YouTube? You got YouTube? Yeah, that's YouTube.
Mhm.
Go to office and back here. And then that'll be you.
I'll put those in
Okay.
You drink the last bit of coffee. It's terrible Terry Tate. He runs that.
there. He'll threaten us daily as
This
to
dude-
who drinks the last bit of
This
coffee.
dude drinks the last cup of coffee and he comes running in and he's like, you can't drink the last cup of coffee.
I was getting ready to offer you some, but I just drained it.
Hey, you need to, I was telling Laura, you need to give it to you like YouTube and look up office line, right? And that's, you know, it's on the back.
Is that the dude?
Yeah, picks him up. He's like, you know you can't be drinking the last cup of coffee and not making none.
Is that the dude with the
Terry Tate.
We've all
Yeah,
been
Terry
trained.
Tate.
That's terrible. Do I need to pull this
We've
up?
all been being for it too, just in case. There's people been in and out of this office. They like something crazy.
Dude, I could not even fathom. Here's my pen. What are we doing? Who did I beat up?
Now actually this is
You didn't beat
Laura's
nobody.
case, and while she's going through the paperwork, I'll tell you what little I know because this is new to me. This was a complaint that was started by Captain. It was initially started by Captain Brown.
Just the one about Scotty.
That's entailing it, and then there was something else that tagged on to it.
You understand, Gary?
I understand.
Can't be used in criminal.
Yep.
Um,
I got it right here.
it was sent to the sheriff. The sheriff sent it down to us.
Mhm.
This is something that's very, very new to us.
Mhm.
But we just want to, we got to get your side. It's uncomfortable. I know it is for both me and Laura, but all it's going to be is just getting your side of what these things are and then getting you back out on the road. That's all there is.
I mean, I'll give you a copy of this for you,
Do
Lee.
what?
You like that?
Do I like it?
Yeah.
Not really.
Really?
Looks more comfortable than the one.
Yeah. 'Cause
But this is the one that, I got this one approved. It's the same thing, except this one's just, it's got goat skin on the inside of it. Because I wore it off duty.
I've developed a callus right there. I could stick it with a needle right there.
Oh, where it hits you?
Yeah, where it
On the
hits
top?
me.
Wouldn't hurt. Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I mean,
Alright. Let's get this shit over with.
yeah, let's get it over with. Like I said, it's uncomfortable for
You
both
know
of
it's
us.
such problems.
What's up?
I hope you understand that. This is just notification of formal complaint. Just that, these are the things we're looking into. That's just our case number. Rules and regs 9001 is conduct unbecoming a deputy. Next one is
Security,
6007, yeah, and unprofessional behavior. Okay, these are all rules and regulations, violations that we're looking into, that were brought to our attention.
What's the
Okay.
actual complaint?
Various dates and all that.
She's gonna go into it.
I mean, it's just, I'll give that, make the copy and give that to you. The first one, like I said, was brought to us by Captain Brown. It was initially just gonna be taken care of by him, and then, as it went up the ladder, they wanted us to look into it. Alrighty. Apparently Scotty Mendenhall was being interviewed and trying to get hired on at Anderson.
Okay.
Did you at some point speak to somebody in Anderson, a deputy or major,
A major.
and talk to them about Scotty,
Mm-hmm.
about his, I don't know if it was personal stuff or about work or what? Can you
No.
kind of brief me on what happened with that whole thing?
What happened is I got a call from, I don't remember what day it was, we were on third shift. And I remember where I was parked at. I was parked outside of Kingsgate subdivision on Batesville Road. And I got a call asking me from Stan Whitten, telling me Scotty was going to apply over in Anderson County. I used to fish with a guy over there, pretty good friends, and Gary Bryant is a major, and I called Gary and I said, man, this guy's coming over to apply for a job with y'all, and like I said, this was at the request of Stan Whitten. I said, man, got a guy coming over there to apply with y'all. I said his name is, I may have told him his name was Scotty, I can't remember.
Stan told you to call the major or something, or told
Stan said that he was going to call, or Stan asked me if I'd call over there and put in the word for Scotty, and that he was going to get in touch with Gary on Facebook, is what he said.
As into helping Scotty get a job?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was Scotty.
Okay.
Stan went into the story about how Scotty had just recently bought a house, and that he was, he needed to pay for his house, whatever. I mean, kind of the sob story in there. So I called Gary and I said, hey man, this guy's coming over to apply for a job. I said, I'm sure I told him his name. I wouldn't have just called and said some guy. And I said, he's a Citadel grad. I said, he's got a couple of medals of valor. I said, distinguished service over here. I said, he's not working for us anymore. I said, he needs a job. And Gary said, okay, well, if that's the case, then, why is he not working for y'all anymore? I said, man, he left in short order. I said, that's all I can tell you. I said, because at the time, I didn't know if Scotty had been fired, and I still don't know. He was fired, resigned, quit. I don't know what happened. So at that point, that was the end of the conversation. We never talked about it again. And then, all this came up. So, that's pretty much it.
Have you talked to any of your supervisors about this? Or did the captain talk to you?
Yeah,
Captain
Wes
Ryan
talked
talked
to
to
me.
you?
Now I did tell Damon, I said I heard that there was somebody asking questions about some complaint that Scotty filed. I said that to Damon, but that was pretty much the end of it. Because he's.
Did you go into anything that you knew about what happened, about why he resigned or got fired or whatever? Because personally, I don't.
No, I didn't, because to be honest, to this date, I have no idea if he was fired, resigned, quit. I still don't.
But under the circumstance, I mean, do you know about the search or the whole incident of why he got?
Yeah.
Was that mentioned? Did you discuss that at all with the
Gary?
major?
Yeah. Nope. And the reason. was
Did Scotty
because-
call you, or did he not get the job or something? I mean, what have you heard about that since then?
No.
Or have you not heard anything until?
No. I mean, the last thing, just people talking on the street, the last thing I heard was that Scotty had applied or was working in Charleston. Was moving back to Charleston was the last thing I heard. I mean, I don't know anything about the kid.
Is Stan friends with him or something? I mean, is that how he knew that he was?
Yeah. I mean, the way I understand it, they're pretty tight.
Oh.
But, I don't run in that circle.
I mean, we hadn't talked to Stan, so I.
No, I don't run in that circle.
So, just for the record, you didn't say anything negative about Scotty?
No, I did not say anything negative about Scotty. I mean, those are.
So your point in calling him was to assist him or help him get a job there?
No.
Or kind of?
I wouldn't even go that far.
Okay.
My point was to call over there because Stan asked me to call over there and talk to Gary.
Okay.
So I did. I did not ever at any point tell Gary that he was a great guy, he needed to hire him. I didn't tell him he was a shitbag and needed not to be hired. I didn't tell him one way or another.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say that I called over there to get him a job either. I did what, somebody asked me to do.
Okay.
So.
And have you, I'm very sorry, because
Who filed this complaint
I had to
initially?
put a.
Scotty.
Scotty did?
And sorry, I'm just reviewing, because obviously everything had to be put on hold for this shooting that happened Friday, so.
Yeah.
It's been a few days, so.
Take your time.
Have you talked back with the major at all after that? Did he call and tell you that Scotty complained or?
The major ad called
Or
me
did
and
he?
asked me who Tim Brown was. He
Okay,
said, "Who's Tim Brown?" And I said, "He's captain over here." He called him Terrence. He said, "Who's Terrence Brown?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "Tim Brown." And he said, "Okay." He said, "Well, he called and wanted to know some questions about this guy." And I said, "Okay." That was it. He said, He said, Gary said, "I never even knew the guy applied." And I said, "Okay." And that was pretty much the extent of it. I mean, we talk quite frequently, but never. Most of the time is, "Hey, you talk to anybody? You going to the game this weekend? How's Ethan? How's Megan? His kids?" We talk about anything. Just friends. I mean, you got to be
I
good
know,
friends.
is Amy a runner or something? Maybe she's running. Yeah, the point is, I think when he filed this complaint, he was not hired by Anderson County. And apparently he got word that you'd made a phone call, so.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he probably did get word that I made a phone call, because I'm sure Stan probably don't know. Because Stan called me and asked me. That's the only way that is the only way that Scotty Mendenhall would have known that I called over to Anderson County. There is no other way, because unless Scotty knows Gary, and I'm about 99.9% sure that he does not, then that's the only way that he would have known that I called over to Anderson County for him, was through Stan. So.
Alrighty. You got anything else on that? The next. Sorry.
That's fine.
We're not trying to overload you here, bud. We're just trying to cover it all at one time so you don't have to come back and see us again.
No problem at all.
Okay. Tell me about this whole transferring thing to Echo and
Oh my God. All right.
and how this began, conversations with the sheriff, and all this, okay? Because apparently, we've been told that you were transferring, but there was no personnel order, and that you're not being transferred and all that, so it's a big,
Yeah.
you know, so come tell me from the beginning. I guess, I'm assuming after
It
the Bravo
was-
shift mess
Well,
is when this began.
yeah, I'll tell you, and this right here is, you may see a little fire in my eyes in this one, because this is a little bit personal.
Okay.
When I was at GTI, I got a text message from somebody on the road that said, "Hey man, we're glad you're coming over." Okay. Where am I coming? Heard they announced in roll call today that you were coming to our side of Echo. Okay, great.
And this is timeout, just for a time frame. This is just after the Bravo crap was over with.
I don't even know if it was over because I was at GTI. I have no idea what was going on.
Okay.
This was when I had to send you some supplemental
other excessive
from
force.
something from a year and a half
From
ago.
the
or
older
something.
guy that did that,
Exactly.
yeah, okay.
This was at the same time period. So that's the same time period.
So at that, when you left to go to that school, you're still on Bravo?
When I left to go to that school, I was still on Bravo.
Okay.
I get down there, hey, we're glad you're coming over, we're looking forward to you coming to Echo. Great. Phone service down there was horrible. So it was probably that evening sometime when I was able to actually get around to calling somebody. And I called the captain, and I said, heard I've been transferred. And he said, no, Captain East.
Captain East.
And I said, he said, yeah, we're moving you to Echo temporarily until we can figure out what's going on. I said, all right, that's fine. We'll stop that part of the story right there.
Okay.
In February of this year, Doug Bortone and I started the process of trying to get me switched over to Echo. Amy's school schedule, we knew it was coming. We knew ahead of time it was coming. The kids have been accepted into different schools, special schools. We knew all of these issues were going to arise. The schools have become more demanding. We had advance notice that there was going to be some issues if she had the kids at school before a certain time or after a certain time.
Okay.
So we kind of knew that this thing was coming.
What's that you do?
She's a teacher. I talked to Lieutenant Bortone about it, and he said, all right, well, let's start the process. He talked to Lieutenant Ridgway, and I talked to Lieutenant Ridgway. He said, well, come on, let's go talk to him now. So we went and talked to Lieutenant Ridgway. Ridgway said, we'll see what we can do. I'll put it out to my guys and see if anybody wants to transfer. Great. Nobody wanted to transfer off of Echo. That's fine. I said, well, over the course of the next several months, I said, whenever. I said, I'm giving you advance notice. I said, because August is when the school year is going to start. I said, so I'm going to need something in place by August. Okay, great. He said, 6-7 months notice, this is perfect time, we can do this. This was obviously whatever the hell was going on in Bravo.
What was going on Bravo?
So I said, man, that's fine. Time passed. Once, every couple of weeks we try to work something out or whatever. I'm working on it. I brought up the suggestion I said, listen, if it comes down to a point, I said, I'm going to need to be on that set schedule. I said, that's where we can get you into investigations, or we can do this, or we can try. I said, that schedule's not going to work for me. I said, I need this where I'm guaranteed that I'm going to be off in the morning when the kids, even if it's only for 4 hours sleep, 4.5 hours sleep, I can come home and take a nap. As long as I can be there to make sure that the kids go somewhere during the daytime. If they're sick, I can stay home with them. Amy can split her class in the afternoon and still get a full day's work in, and she's been there all day. So, everything was kind of in line there. I said, I don't need investigations. I said, I need the Echo hours. I said, if I need to, I said, I can take a voluntary demotion to do that. He said, okay. That process continued on. To my knowledge, nothing was ever put in paper. Nothing was ever put in writing. He and I never we never signed anything, or he never put anything down with a request or anything like that. Well, when I went to Echo, when I found out I was going to Echo when I was at GTI, I'm like, all right, well, something apparently worked. Somebody said something, Ridgeway stepped up, something happened. I just assumed. I didn't say anything about it. So I come back to work, pick up an Echo car, had SWAT that Tuesday, because I was supposed to go to the Echo hours to work Wednesday, Thursday. I come back and I pick up an Echo car and I drive the Echo car. While I'm driving the Echo car, I get a call at SWAT Tuesday afternoon when I was leaving the SWAT training, which I guess it was probably 4 o'clock or so. I get a message from Damon, give me a call. I said, all right. Called him. I said, what's up? He said, man, I'm looking forward to you coming in tomorrow. I said, for what? He said, for Charlie. I said, first time I heard about this. And he said, well, you've been assigned to my platoon. Great. Okay. I said, well, I'm not going to be able to come in the morning. I said, because I was planning on working Echo hours, so I have to be available to take care of whatever the situation is with the kids. He said, well, that's fine. Take tomorrow off and we'll talk about it on Thursday. And I said, all right. So I took that day off. Thursday, I came in and sat down and talked to him. I said, these are the situations, the ones that I just laid out for you. I said, this is where it all started. And I brought him up to speed to where we are now. David said, we're going to work something out. We're going to make it happen. We're going to see what we can do. Talked to Damon. Damon talked to the captain. I'm assuming that the captain talked to the major. I don't know for sure what happened after that. We all sat down and talked. And I said, he said, give me a couple of weeks here. We can work something out. So, okay, great. Captain sat down with him. He said, let's give it a couple more weeks until we get back to third shift. He said, I already know what's on your mind. I don't want you to take a voluntary demotion. That's not what I want you to do. I was very specific. I said, give me a couple of years here. I said, I just need to, with Case the way he is right now, when I got back from GTI, it was obvious that he needed dad at home. I mean, there was no question about that at all. I had to beat him back in line for a couple of days, but he was fine. And then,
How old is he?
He's 5.
Yeah.
So, Allison was going through some things. Belle was pretty much on keel. And, it's hard for a mom with 3 kids working full time to try to handle the kids and do everything. So I said, I told the captain, I said, listen, I said, my legacy's not here. I said, it's at home. I said, when I walk out the door, I said, nobody's going to remember me 2 weeks after I leave, whether it's as a major or a master deputy or a deputy 2. I said, but, my family's going to know me forever. We talked about it a little bit. I raised kids. I know what it's like. Okay. That's fine. But, I want my kids to remember my name. I want my kids to know who I am. So, a couple of weeks went by, nothing came up. Nothing was available. Damon Hubbard went and checked to make sure that all of the, that there was space available for me on Echo as a deputy 2. So, the week before September the 5th, I turned in, and I'm almost positive September the 5th is right. I've still got the letter in the car. I think September 5th started a new pay period. So the week before September the 5th, I said, listen, I hate to do this, but. So I turned my letter in to Damon. He says, well, let's go talk to the captain. I said, all right. So we went and sat down with the captain.
A letter about taking the demotion.
Voluntary demotion.
Okay.
The captain said, well, everything's already been approved. He said, I've approved it, the major's approved it. He said, the sheriff's aware of it. I said, okay, great. So I went to put, I dropped my letter, and that was it. He said, when we were walking out the door, the captain said, I want you to know that, this doesn't mean anything at all. I still expect for you to perform the way you've been performing. I still expect you to train. This is not going to hinder you in the future. If you want to try, if you want to test again later on down the line when everything gets on the level, you can. Great.
Sorry.
So,
So that was September 5th.
at September, it was the week before September the 5th. And I'll tell you why I remember that day. Because the captain said, starting on Monday, which would be the 5th, you'll go to Echo as a deputy 2.
to us, Captain, who's aware of this? Just give me Captain East.
Captain East
Hubbard.
and Lieutenant Hubbard were the only two at that point when we were in his office that had seen my letter.
Okay. And they said that it had been approved above them.
The captain said, the major's aware, this has been approved and all that.
Okay.
So the captain said, all right, well, I'm going to call down to, I don't remember her name, Moats' wife.
Sally.
I'm going to call down to Sally, and I'll have the personnel order cut.
Okay.
I said, okay, great. So I walk out, and I'm on my way out, and the captain says, no, the sheriff's got an open door policy. If you want to go sit down and talk to him, you can. And I said, well, it's not, if he's already approved it, I'm thinking, why am I even, no offense.
And to this point, sorry, but I just want to be clear.
No.
To this point,
Absolutely.
you haven't talked to the sheriff
No.
directly about any of this?
Nope.
Okay. And when did you talk to roll call about saying that you were leaving? Is that you getting to that?
That was that morning when I turned in my letter. Damon Hubbard and I talked about it the day before, and he said, do you want me to say something, or do you want to say something? I said, no, I would rather address them and tell them that this is what's going to happen.
Okay.
And he said, I want.
So that would have been before September 5th?
Yeah, it would
like
have
the
been.
day before, or the day that you spoke with Captain and...
Exactly.
The same day? Okay.
That morning.
Okay.
So I said, listen, guys, as far as roll call went, listen, guys, I'm taking a voluntary demotion to go back to Echo for personal reasons. I appreciate everything. Y'all have been great. Thanks. That was the extent of it.
Mm-hmm.
Turned in my letter. Everything went down with the captain. Everything went down with the captain. And then Damon on the way out said, what do you think? I said, do I need to go talk to the sheriff or just leave this alone? And he said, I would go talk to the sheriff if I were you. I said, great. So I go down and sit outside of his office. There's a couple people inside. I'm waiting. And then he opens his front. He had his front door closed where Jackie's desk is, and the side door was open. A couple of people came in. They were talking about some stuff. And he opened the door. He got up and opened the door. And he kind of looked at me. He said, "Hey," he said, "what are you doing?" Yeah, and we kind of talked for a minute. We started off joking about 1911s and wanted to, because he was carrying that big house cat he's got.
Yeah.
And he was toting that, and he pulled it out, dropped it, showed it to me, and I was taking a look. I said, "That's sweet." Dry fired it. We was talking about guns for a minute. I said, "Listen," I said, "I want to talk to you about this voluntary demotion." I said, "I appreciate it." He said, "Explain to me the situation." So I did. Told him the same thing I told the captain, the same thing I told the lieutenant. And he said, "Okay." He said, "Well," he said, "can you hold off for me for a couple of days? Is this something that needs to be done ASAP?" And I said, "No." I said, "Define ASAP." I said, "What are you talking?" He said, "Within the next 2 to 3 weeks." And I said, "No." I said, I can roll back one week with Charlie to night shift, knowing it was going to be hard." And I said, "But I can roll back 1 week on night shift with Charlie." I said, that's not going to be a problem. When a man says, "Hey, listen, I don't like the idea of you taking a voluntary demotion," and he's willing to let you keep your stripe and maybe try to work something out for you, great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do it. So I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it." And he said, "I got something in the works." He said, "But I'm not willing to discuss it right now." And he said, "I'm just not going to talk about it." He said, "But just give me a couple of weeks and let's see where we are." Okay, great. I walk out of the office and I said, I told him, I said, "The captain's sending the personnel order down to Sally to be done." He said, "Tell him to hold off on that." I said, "All right." So I go back up and I told him, I said, Captain was on his way down to the bathroom, actually. And I said, "Captain, hold off on that personnel order." He was like, "All right." So I get back in the car, I take off. I told Lieutenant Hubbard the conversation. The sheriff made the comment. He said, "I will personally call you and tell you when I find out something is done." I said, "Okay, great." So that continues. A couple of weeks pass. I'm on third. A couple of weeks into third shift and hadn't heard from him. So I called him and left him a message, or didn't leave him a message. I called and left a message with Jack. That's, whatever that was. Jack yourself, I can't remember which. That was there about a week later. So we're probably 3 weeks into night shift at this point, maybe. He calls me back, and it was in the afternoon. He said, "Well," I was awake, but not up. My phone rings, and he said, I answered the phone. He said, Willis is Loftus. I said, yes, sir. He said, man, I'm sorry. I just got your message. He said, I was laying under a stack of papers. He said, what can I do for you? I said, well, I was just calling to check and see if anything had, come about. And he said, yep. He said, everything's going to be taken care of on Monday. He said, we're going to move, or he said, I'll take, he said, your situation will be resolved and we'll have you where you need to be on the 17th of October. I said, he said the new pay period is what he initially said. And I said, you mean Monday? And he said, no, not Monday. The following pay period is 17th. And I said, okay. And just to let you know, I've never kept up with pay periods in 15 years. That's how I've been able to keep up with pay periods for the last couple of months.
I don't.
I don't either.
So he said on the 17th. I said, great. Well,
Time out. Did he say what? He just said everything
No.
will be handled by the 17th.
he said he was gonna take care of everything, and I would be where I needed to be on the 17th. It would be taken care of, and I would be where I needed to be on the 17th. I may be paraphrasing. I don't know if that's a quote, but something along those lines. I was under the impression that I would be wherever he wanted me to be put by the 17th.
So meaning Echo, because that's what you needed, or?
But never at any point did he ever say he was going to put me on Echo. Never at any point did anybody say that I would go to Echo. I asked to go to Echo, and we were trying to get me to Echo. And I'll let Lieutenant Hubbard tell you all of the stuff that he said about trying to get all the details he arranged about trying to get me over to Echo without me losing the stripe. I don't know what all he did, but he worked his ass off.
So you didn't care either way, but if you could still keep your stripe, that'd be great.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And that's exactly, that was my philosophy from the beginning.
Okay.
If I can keep my stripe, great, but I don't care. So that was the last thing that I was left with. I talked to Lieutenant Hubbard about it. We've been in touch with each other, at least once a week at a minimum about this. The 17th started my week of SWAT school, the 1 week SWAT school that we had every year, which negotiators took show up.
They don't ask us to. Ask us to.
So that started our week of SWAT. While I was rolling off that weekend, I asked them knowing that I was working third shift, I asked on the week before, I said, would y'all mind letting me work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on Echo hours so that I can kind of be somewhat acclimated to a day shift schedule when I start my week-long school that's on day shift? The initial response was yes, and then they were like, no, because we're short of manpower. Okay, that's fine. The one reason I asked was because I didn't want to have to burn all of Sunday to go to do it. I just didn't want to have to do that. So Friday, Saturday, I worked third. Sunday, I was off. Sunday night. Saturday night.
So was the school here, or did you have to travel?
The school
to-
was here.
Oh, okay, so you didn't have to drive anywhere, so.
No.
Okay.
I didn't have to drive anywhere.
Okay.
The school was here. Saturday night, we go through whatever, and Sergeant Lane tells me, he says, I'm going to need your car in the morning, and you need to drop your car off and whatever. He did an inspection on my shotguns, inspection on my ticket book. And then he told me, he said, leave your car here in the morning. And I said, okay. And I said, and I had told him prior to that, I think it was Friday night, may have been before that what the lieutenant and I had discussed about the sheriff saying that on the 17th I would be put where I needed to be. Again, nobody ever said anything about Echo. Everybody assumed Echo,
But you assumed that you were leaving Charlie shift.
but I assumed that I was leaving Charlie shift.
Okay.
So he said, well, I need your car. Okay, great. Well, I'm like thinking to myself, what am I going to drive? But that was neither here nor there. He said, you need to make arrangements to pick up an Echo car. And I said, okay. So, knowing that no personnel order had been cut, knowing that nothing had been in writing, I said, all right. He said, you need to call Sergeant Silver and get a car. Well, pretty sure how this conversation was going to go with Sergeant Silver. So I made it a point to make the phone call from a recorded line. which was the Adam platoon desk on the far end.
Do you know
What extension that is?
what day that would have been on?
That would have been the Saturday night. That would have been the Saturday, so it would have been the 17th, 16th, 15th. That would have been the night of the 15th.
Okay.
I made a call from that phone. I called Sergeant Silver and I said, hey, listen, they're asking me to turn my car in the morning. I need a car. Why are they telling you to turn your car in? No personnel order's been cut. He and I had a conversation about it, and I said, listen, I said, Sergeant, I said, it's not a problem. I said, I will drive my personal truck to SWAT this week. It's not a problem. It's not an issue. I don't know where I'm going. And on a personal footnote here, I was kind of like, well, it makes sense, but it's probably going to be easier for me to drop all my stuff off on Charlie, because if in the middle of the SWAT week I find out where I'm going, then I've got to leave SWAT, come up here, pick up some stuff, change out some stuff, get some new stuff, try to catch up with the supervisor, and then roll back out. So it wasn't an issue for me. So I told him, I said, I'll drive my personal car. I'll drive my truck. It's not a problem. You're not driving your personal car to SWAT team training. I've got a car for you. Just pick up that car. Okay, great. And that was the short version of that story. So I go and I pick up the Echo car Sunday night, and I drive it for the week.
Okay, time out real fast. About what time, if we end up needing to pull that phone call?
That would have
15th.
been right after roll call. So it would have been,
And you're on night shift.
yeah, it would have been somewhere between 7 and 8. So, I mean, probably closer to 7:30, maybe sometime in that time frame.
Okay.
So then I drive the Echo car all week. Now, the jokes have been immense. Where are you at this week? And that's just been the big joke. Where are you at? Where are you going? I don't know anything. Are you still an MD? Are you a deputy too? So I've been playing along with them, cutting up with people, and they're just jokes. I didn't make any derogatory comments about anybody. I didn't say I'm gonna Echo this week. I didn't say anything. I had gotten wind that this was coming down the pipe the last week, during the SWAT week. And so I called Lieutenant Hubbard and I said, have I ever at any point told you that I was going to Echo? And he said, no. He said, as a matter of fact, we don't know where you're going. That's been the big thing the whole time. And I said, okay. I said, I just want to make sure that I never at any point. He said, we all assume that you're going to Echo because those are the hours that you need. He said, but nobody has ever told you where you're going, and you have never told me where you're going. And I said, I just want to make sure that I didn't give the wrong impression or anything like that. And he's like, all right, yeah, that's it. Why? And I said, well, no, nothing to it. And then I told him, that's the day that I told him, hey, I got wind that Mendenhall filed a complaint. And that was the day that we had that conversation.
Yeah.
So that was it. I came back Sunday afternoon. I got a call that said, hey, you're still on my platoon until further notice. I don't know whether that's 3 days, 3 months, 3 weeks, or 3 years, but you're still on my platoon until further notice. I said, okay.
And who told you that?
That was Lieutenant Hubbard, and he said, if you have any further questions, you can call me or you can talk to Captain Brown.
Okay.
I said, okay. So as the week progressed, this week we had SWAT again on Tuesday. I heard that Walmsley was promoted on Monday. So I called the lieutenant, and he didn't answer, so I called the captain to see what the deal was. And he said, it's in the hands of the sheriff. And I knew by his tone of voice and the way that he was talking that this was shortly to come. So, I mean, I've been around for a minute, I know. So
Did you?
I said, okay. And that
This
was it.
time, like when you thought you were going to take the demotion and all that, you talked the roll call.
That's
Because you
right.
thought you were going at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
this time, being the 17th, or that last Saturday or Friday, or the few days but
Mhm.
leading up to that,
Mhm.
after you talked to the sheriff or whatever,
Mhm.
did you say to anybody on your shift or in roll call or anything, so-and-so's my last day on Charlie,
Yeah,
you know,
I said
it's been good working with you, I'm going to echo.
I didn't say anything in roll call, but I told a couple of guys, I said, listen, I said, Monday's my last. I said, so, you know, a couple of guys, hey, let's go get some breakfast, let's go do something or something.
Okay.
So, you know, we went and got a little breakfast Sunday morning. Hey, where are you going? You know, I don't know where I'm going. You know, what side are you going to? I have no idea. You know, when the whole sergeant thing came down, with Boyd getting demoted, I went to talk to Ridgeway, not because I wanted to be promoted to sergeant, because right now is not a good time for me to be promoted to sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to talk to Ridgeway to see if, you know, what his thoughts were, if he was going to have anything available. Well, I'm glad you came and talked to me. And, you know, we talked briefly. And to be honest, I say briefly, it was not brief at all, actually. It was about 15 or 20 minutes. But it was not, you know, he said, you know, I've talked to the sheriff about it, and, you know, this is, I'm not, let's make sure that we understand each other here. I'm not talking bad about anybody, but Ridgeway said, you know, I've asked for you and Mike Decker, both as sergeants, and they told me that Decker wasn't available because he's not finished his probation. And I said, okay, you know, I've heard that 1,000 times. You know, so I just kind of, just kind of let that one go. So, you know, I was like, well, you know, if something comes available, and that was it. He said, you know, he talked to the sheriff about it, and he didn't want me to take a demotion, and the sheriff didn't want me to take a demotion, and that was pretty much the extent of the conversation. Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it. You know, I talked to a couple of guys that Saturday night and told them that I wasn't, you know, that I probably wasn't going to be back after the 17th, and that, you know, again, I appreciated it.
You know who you talked to? Or who you,
we had,
anybody you remember talking
we had
to?
all talked about going to breakfast, but we got really busy that night.
The whole, where were you working
Just the
at?
west side.
Just the west side.
That we'd all talked about going to breakfast, but I ended up late. McCalmon ended up late. A couple other guys ended up high on the call up in 10.
That's the way it goes when it's time to get off.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, it was. I mean, that was pretty much it. So I mean, we were all kind of a scattered bunch. I sent out a message off the MDT, hey guys, you know, we're not gonna be able to make it this morning late, you know, whatever. Thanks for everything, and that was it. Yeah, I appreciate it anyway. But a couple of guys didn't get the message, and I got a phone call about, you know, 7:45. Hey, we're sitting over here. Where are you? I'm like, oh, I'm on the way, guys. So you know, I went over and tightened my coach out from there. You know, and sat there with Urbina.
Let me guess. The hen house? Right. Hey, that's good stuff.
And with I hop on with her, and we ate a little bit, and
Oh,
you know,
hen house wouldn't be open Sunday morning.
no, and we talked, and that was it. And you know, we just, I'll be honest with you. I think one question was brought up: where are you going? And my response was, I have no idea. And like I said, the following week is when I got wind of everything.
Okay.
And then I came back, drove the Echo car for a week, jumped in a Charlie car, and that's been where I've been. They moved me to the east side because there was some apparent personal, you know, conflicts between me and Sergeant Lane.
What's the deal with that? I mean, was there an issue about this whole swapping car thing? Did it get to be a tiff about it, or?
I had no tiff. I mean, no, there wasn't a tiff with me. I mean, whatever, you know, Sergeant Silver made some comments on the phone that were not in any way insubordinate. He just said, well, listen, he said, if that's going to be a problem, I'll call Lieutenant Hubbard on his vacation. I'll call my lieutenant. We'll figure out what the deal is. And then finally...
The problem about Lane taking the car from you
Mm-hmm.
and you not having a vehicle?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, but there was no...
What reason, did he give you a reason as to why you needed to get rid of your car right then?
Sergeant Lane?
Uh-huh.
And I do not ask questions of Sergeant Lane, and whatever he says, I just, you know, either go along with it or, you know, try to handle it by whatever means are necessary. And, you know, his personality and my personality are not, you know, just don't gel. I mean, it's nothing personal against him. He's been around for a long time. He's a great guy. You know, but I mean, that's Sergeant Lane, and you know, it's just a personality conflict.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I don't know any history between y'all or
We don't
anything like that.
have history.
If there's history or
There's not one. There's not history.
some
There's-
people's personalities just don't gel.
And
And
that's
we
all.
know that after all these people at the sheriff's office, everybody's not gonna get along or be buddies outside of here rather.
And that's it. I mean, it's just a personality conflict between the two
As
of
long
us.
as we can get along and do our jobs together, then we're done.
I think Lieutenant Hubbard recognized it and moved me to the east side. So that's where I am.
What's while we're on that subject,
Okay.
and I know you because I worked with you and I know that like today, your freaking boots are always shiny.
Sorry, I had
You're always in line with everything.
Mhm.
So obviously when we started looking at this, pulling stuff up on your records and stuff, the deal about your car not being serviced or the shotgun being dirty and all that.
Yes,
I wanted to know just,
Shotgun.
is everything good or are you just stressed? Because you know, you remember when I asked you if everything was okay? Remember when I saw you down in front desk?
Mhm.
And I was just making sure there wasn't something else going on is there something going on or is it just stress from this whole thing at home and all that? Or
I'm not happy at all.
Okay.
You want to know the honest to
Here?
God truth? I'll just tell you flat out, I'm not happy.
I mean, because I don't get your home business, but is that home or is it here?
My wife is perfect. And there are no issues inside 100 Mercer Drive. I mean, I've got, my house.
I'm glad.
And my house
I
is
just
on
want to
the
make
line.
sure you were okay because I know that's not you.
No, it's not.
And that's why I wondered what was wrong.
That is, I'm not very happy.
Just not happy with things here right now.
I know, okay, well, you want the flat out truth? I'll tell you the flat out truth. I got railroaded, period. If you don't talk about anything at all, people will make up their own shit. I choose to keep my mouth shut about it. Mendenhall, I keep my mouth shut about whatever's going on with Bravo. You don't say anything, and people are gonna talk shit. Eventually, people are gonna start listening to what's being talked. And I'm tired of getting the sideways look that I'm the cause or reason of Bravo platoons. The whole investigation. That's what was said, that I was the cause. Then it got out that I was the one who spread the rumors about Cheryl Cromartie and Billy Brewer.
Okay.
That whole thing came out that I spread all these, that's bullshit. That is not true. That is not what happened. I can tell you where it started. I can tell you how it started. I can tell you how it ended up. And I can probably tell you who spread that rumor. But it was not me. But when my face is not present, they're going to point a finger at me.
Yeah.
So nobody has taken any of this into consideration. Nobody has stepped back and punted. Nobody has looked at it and go, yeah, I'll say it. I'm going to blow my own horn for a minute. Nobody has stepped up and said, you know what, Will fucking took control of Bravo when Bravo needed somebody to take control of it. I didn't mess with the west side. I didn't mess with the south end. I took care of the guys on my side of town. Period. Because nobody else would step up.
Where'd you work on, Bravo? Which
East
is
side.
East side?
Nobody else would step up and do it. There was no sergeant, there was no lieutenant, and nobody gave a shit about us over there. Complaints were filed, statements were made, things were written, they all just magically disappeared and vanished. Nobody fucking knows where they went. But at the end of the whole thing, I'm labeled the troublemaker. I'm the one with the problem. I'm the one that gets transferred. That's bullshit.
Did you ask to leave Bravo?
No.
Oh,
The only
okay.
time I asked to leave Bravo was when I asked to go to Echo.
Right.
If they had left me on Bravo, I'd have been fine.
See, I didn't, I came in here at the very end of the Bravo thing, so I didn't have any
I
knowledge
didn't
of all
ask to
that
leave Bravo
stuff.
platoon. They asked me to leave Bravo platoon.
What do you mean they?
They moved me. They moved me to Echo while I was gone. So yeah, I think it's bullshit. I think I got railroaded and it pisses me off. As far as the complaint goes with Richard Lane, personal opinion, I don't have anything to back this up. This
And
is-
Richard Lane didn't make a complaint. I was
Well-
just asking just because, when we start doing an investigation, I pull your file up.
Well, as far as my write-up goes with Richard Lane, that whole thing, when I picked that car up, it was out of service when I picked it up. The day I picked it up, it was out of service. I didn't know that. I'm sorry. When I go over to the 32 and get into a car, I don't look up at the sticker. Fault me for it if you need to. That's fine. But I didn't look up at the sticker. 2 or 3 days later, we do an inspection. He looks up and says, "Did you know your car was out of service?" He obviously was as shocked as I was,